Alright, so please ignore my child, baby, eating her breakfast right here. I'm sure you can hear her. She's being just, yeah, a lot, and so I had to feed her early. And I had to distract her while I was recording this video because she just needs a lot of attention today. So, yeah. So, I have been working on this series for more than 6 months. I started my digital minimalism journey last summer. I finally have come to the point where I want to record this video and share all of the digital minimalism projects that I have been working on. So I'm kind of calling this series my spring cleaning digital minimalism series, and I'm so excited to share this with you all. So in today's video, it's going to be an intro to the series. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to talk about in this series, and I'm kind of going to give some tips for starting your digital hygiene journey. So to me, digital hygiene is just doing a digital cleansing. Cleaning out. The digital minimalism part is decreasing everything that you no longer need. I think it's so important, even if you don't identify with the term minimalism, to do a digital hygiene clean out every once in a while just to feel more organized in your life. Baby's scratching at that door again. Feeding her did not do any good. Here's the little gremlin herself. Mommy's working on a video. Can you be quiet for a little bit of time, please? She's like, absolutely not. I have to be a menace. Smacks me in the head with her tail. It's fine. Kind of a disclaimer for this series is that these are things that have worked for me. Obviously, minimalism and just digital hygiene is going to be different for everyone. And so even if you just take these things that I'm sharing as inspiration, or you get some ideas that are sparked from what I'm saying, like, that is all that needs to happen. That makes me happy. I just really want to share all these things I've been working on because I've been inspired by people sharing their digital minimalism journey, and so I'm really hoping to just share some tips and tricks. So I have actual notes for this video. I never have notes for my videos, but I really want to make sure that this is a very helpful video, so I've taken notes. A huge minimalist inspiration to me is Matt D'Avella. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. Oh, baby. Now I've locked baby out of the room, and guess what she's going to want to do? She's going to be scratching at the door to come back in. So Matt, he produced the documentary Minimalism. It's on Netflix, and I just love his YouTube channel. He just everything minimalism, but he just has really fun content, and I learn a lot from him. So he's a huge inspiration to me, so go check him out if you want. So his definition of minimalism is that it helps us to become more mindful of what we consume and make more thoughtful choices of what we bring into our lives. So the point isn't to get by with as few items as humanly possible. It's about finding what's important to you. And I loved this, especially with my minimalism journey last fall when I did physical minimalism things, and then now with my digital minimalism journey, because, you know, going through all the apps on my phone and going through all the photos, there is such a huge digital footprint, I think, for all of us, and we don't even think about even the environmental impact of that digital footprint. That's something I've been thinking about a lot in this series, is like, it takes a lot of energy to store everything on our phone, all the things that take space. That has an environmental impact. That's something I'm trying to learn more about as well. But really thinking about minimalism is not this like extreme thing. People think of the most extreme minimalists that they've ever seen. But no, minimalism is just thinking about our consumption, thinking about what we actually use in our lives, surrounding ourselves with things that we only absolutely love and that spark joy, right? And so, yeah, to me, I love that definition, and that one really speaks to me. So I wanted to start out with that because everyone kind of has a different thought of what minimalism means to them. So I want to go into my general tips for starting. And I'm going to be reading some of these off because I don't want to say them wrong. So something that I've figured out over my whole journey is that it's a bit exhausting to do this constantly. So for me, what's really helped is to do an initial huge clean out, and this can take a really long time, right? Like, my digital footprint was massive. I'd never really done any digital hygiene at all. I'd never gone through any of my photos, and I'm a photographer, so I would just take like 20 photos of the same thing because one of them is going to turn out, right? So this has been so important because otherwise it can be exhausting, like to constantly be looking for things to decrease or constantly be asking myself if I really need something. So my suggestion is to do your digital minimalism journey in sweeps and then give yourself moments of pause to just enjoy the system in between, right? And not go overboard with it, because moderation in everything, right? Including moderation. And so it's really been important for me to take little breaks. Like, I can't go through photos every single day. That's exhausting. That is mentally incredibly taxing. And so giving yourself little breaks, giving yourself grace, and minimalism is a journey, right? It's not a destination, as Matt likes to say. And so I think it's so important to give ourselves pause when we need it, and then continue on the journey when we have the capacity. So another tip that I've been implementing for literally years, because I just get incredibly overwhelmed with social media and messaging platforms in general. Daily Stoic had a little blurb on this, so I'm going to read what they wrote. So they say limit who has access. So we are way too reachable. You know, Facebook messages, Instagram messages, email, text messages, WhatsApp, like so many things. People can call you. It's a lot. I think what's really important is to maybe decrease that, to streamline that. Ryan Holiday talked about, and he's from the Daily Stoic, he talked about, I think it was text, call, and email. And email was for work, and text was for social, and then call was for work and social, but to reach him quickly. That is incredibly important for me because I don't want to be checking 20 different apps and have a ton of different ways that people can reach me. I want to streamline that. It's incredibly overwhelming otherwise to have all these different channels to be digitally reachable. And so that's something that's really helped too, is like for me, decreasing either my notification settings or decreasing the amount of apps on my phone, or just deleting some of them, or deleting some of my social media. That's been really helpful for me. And then another tip from the Daily Stoic that I absolutely loved and wanted to include and I've been using is to simplify your to-do list. So I actually took what Ryan Holiday said, because he does a to-do list of 5 or 6 things a day. And so that's a system that I have been implementing. I'll kind of show my to-do list and how I work. That'll be in the video on notes, because my life is in the notes app. And so my to-do list is in the notes app. And so I have a to-do list for today, for tomorrow, for this week, for next week. I'll show it when we get there. It's a little preview. But that's something that's been super important for me, is like limiting the amount of things on my to-do list today, because I'm never going to get them all done. And with my chronic fatigue and my limited energy, I don't even get all 5 to 6 done usually. It depends how big those things are, right? Some of them, if they're just small things, it's easier to get it done and then you feel better in the dopamine rush. That's something I'm working on. But in general, 5 or 6 things, limiting your to-do list, making it achievable. All right, so now let's get into what this series is going to include. So like I said, I've been working on this for more than 6 months, since last summer, or like 9 months now. Time is flying. And I have gone through every area of my digital life. So this series is going to include the following things. So one of them is going to be, like I mentioned before, the Notes app. And I started using the PARA system. It is projects, areas like of responsibility, resources, and then archives. So I'm going to get into that system and how I started using it. I started using it after watching one of Matt's videos, and I've loved it. And I've organized my entire life around this system now. I had over 3,000 notes. And now I'm down to about 700, because like I said, my life is in my notes. So my writing, all of my health notes, all of my creative projects and ideas, any notes for meetings I go to, all of that is in the Notes app. And so to consolidate down from over 3,000, which I just never gone through them, down to less than 700 is really exciting. And so I'm going to go over how I did that, how I organized it, all of that in a video. Another video, I'm going to talk about my inbox and my email. I probably have 10 different emails, because when I start a new project, I would start a new email. So I have probably more than 10 emails maybe. And so I started going through all of those emails, and I organized my inbox down to zero emails. And so I want to talk about the systems I used for that and the different approaches I used, because that was incredibly exciting. Inbox 0 is like insane. Then I'm also going to talk about how I organized my computer. So I organized everything. I mean, I organized my search engine, I organized my bookmarks, I organized my favorites, I organized my reading list, I organized all my files. I have an idea garden now, and I'm going to talk about that. So that is probably going to be its own video as well. And then moving into how I organized my phone. So many different things on my phone. I kind of put everything together on the phone that included apps. So for example, I went through all my LinkedIn messages that I know of and responded to them if I felt like they needed to be responded to. I went into YouTube and I organized all my playlists and my watch later, which had like it had over 500 videos on it, and I went through and organized that down. My phone backgrounds, I love my phone background system. I organized all of my apps. I got rid of so many apps, and now I have a system that I'm actually constantly changing because the different apps I use each week, I then will kind of move them around so that they're in the best place for me depending on what I'm using. So I'm going to talk about all my phone organization, and then I might do its own video on how I organized over 70,000 photos. So like I said, I'm a photographer and I have never organized my photos on my phone, and they go back to like 2014. And so I had over 70,000 photos, videos, you know, that includes like all media in the Photos app. And so that's an ongoing journey. I am still working on that now. So that video is probably going to be a progress video. It's not going to be like this project is finalized, because it's a nightmare. So yeah, those are kind of, at least right now, the different ideas I have for different videos to tell you about the systems that I use. I would love to hear if there's any digital minimalism topics that you would like me to work on. I would just love to hear what you have an interest in, and I'll try to hit it in one of these videos. But yeah, I'm so excited for this journey, just to work on it, to share with you all, hopefully share something that's valuable for you. And I really want to kind of end on this quote by Matt. He talks about digital minimalism as untangling your digital life, and that's why it's taken me so long to work on this digital minimalism journey, because it takes a really long time to go through everything and then set up systems for everything. Like for example, since I've started organizing my photos, now I go through my photos at the end of every month, and it's actually helped me because I started making an Instagram post of like photo scrapbook of the last month. And so what I'll do is at the end of every month, I'll go through my photos, I'll delete any that I don't need anymore, then be able to take out my favorites and have like memories with those favorite photos. So now I'm kind of creating systems, and in my notes app I have systems where if I just need to make a new note, I'll make a new note, but then I go through those later and then put them in the correct file. So, you know, creating those systems is so important, but it can take a really long time because there's so many areas to our digital life now, almost as many, maybe even more, than our physical surroundings and our physical environment. And so I think this is such an important thing, and I know everyone's into spring cleaning right now, and so I thought this would be just a really fun time to like share what I've been working on. Again, it is a journey, not a destination, so I've not, you know, finalized everything. Nothing is ever going to be fully finalized. It's just what works for you in each moment. Minimalism is a tool, right? So we want to use minimalism not to our detriment, but always adding to our life. And so that's something that I have been working on for a while now. I've been kind of working on moving around furniture and stuff in my room physically as well. So at some point, maybe I'll do a minimalist update in this room too. But in the meantime, we're gonna get started on this digital minimalism journey. Comment below if you have any tips for digital minimalism, because like I said, I'm new to this journey and I've only been working on it since like last summer, I would say. And so I am so open to tips. Let's help each other. Let's build a community of minimalists. I would love to hear what has been helpful and worked for you that I can maybe try implementing into my system and digital minimalism and hygiene as well. So I'm gonna go keep working on this journey for you, and in upcoming videos, not necessarily sequentially, but in upcoming videos, I will definitely be diving into some of these topics. So stay tuned, and I will talk to you all soon, my friends. Peace out.